We're back. Psych 100, Chapter 8, Memory. So, you should have 1 through 6 ready to answer all the following questions because we're going to test your memory once and for all. Now, I don't know how many of you felt like you had a pretty good memory, and I'm sure it depends on, again, the topic at hand. But I want you to write the following answers to these questions. Now, don't look on anybody else's paper, even though they're 6 feet away, so I don't know how you could even read what they have written down. Just write down the answers as you see fit, and then we'll go over the correct responses momentarily, right? Momentarily. All right. So, ready? Here we go. I'm going to step out of the camera range for just a second. And the first question that I want you to write an answer to is, what color shirt, in this case jacket, is your professor wearing? Now, don't think too much hard on it. Just write down you think what is the actual color. Now, no peeking, no rewinding the tape to see the answers. Number 2. Now, this one you won't be able to answer, or 3, for example. Let's go down to number 4. We'll skip it. We'll make it a 5 question, as opposed to 6 question. Next one. I guess it would be number 2. Was your instructor wearing a tie? If so, what color? Was your instructor wearing a tie? If so, what color? Just put a yes or a no in the color if you think there was a color. Number 3. Was your instructor wearing glasses? Yes or no? Was your instructor wearing glasses? Yes or no? Number 4. Was your instructor wearing any noticeable jewelry? And if so, what type? Be specific. And number 5. Was your instructor holding something in his hand? If the answer is yes, specify what he was holding in his hand. So you should have answers to all 5 questions. I thought there'd be 6, but a couple, like the color of my pants and the color of my shoes, those you couldn't see, so I didn't ask those, right? So let's go over the answers. Have you got them all down? No cheat now, you can grade your own. Here we go. Number 1, what color shirt or jacket was I wearing? Well, as you can see, it's a blue and white jacket. So if you said blue or white, you can give yourself credit. And it's got my hometown right on it, so you can't miss that. Number 2, was your instructor wearing a tie? No tie. No tie is visible here, as you can see. So if you saw a tie, false memory. Number 3, was your instructor wearing glasses? No. When I drive, I generally wear glasses to make my eyes a little sharper, right? Or if it's sunny, I'm wearing sunglasses, but no glasses during the lecture, typically. Was your professor wearing any noticeable jewelry? Well, I purposely showed my hands numerous times on the first video and the second, so you could see the various thing. For example, this is my wedding band, but you've seen this ring before if you saw the movie Lord of the Rings. Actually, my ring actually has writing on it and has my nickname and my wife's nickname and the date we were married, which comes in really handy. In case I forget, I can always look it up, assuming that my vision can see it. Remind myself the anniversary is coming up. I had another ring on. This is my warrior ring, and we need to be strong warriors during these troubling times. And of course, I have my classic Spider-Man watch that I actually got married in. This watch I actually got married in. And that was back in, just a couple years ago, 1997. I know, I should be dead. Final question, was your instructor holding something in his hand? And I was not holding anything in my hands. I even did one of these right before we took the quiz, just so you could see. So how did you do? Did you create some false memories? I wouldn't be surprised, and neither would Elizabeth Loftus, going back to false memory syndrome. If you remember, Dr. Loftus had thought she had found her mother deceased in the swimming pool, drowned tragically, but she created a false memory when a relative told her about it. And it was interesting, she did some experiments with college students where she invited the college students and their parents, and she separated them into different rooms. And she interviewed the parents, then she went to the children, and she told the children, hey, do you remember that time you were a little kid, you got lost in the department store? And the kids are like, nah, I don't remember that. These are college students, right? She says, don't worry about it. Next time she met with them, some of the students said, you know what, Dr. Loftus, I was thinking about it, and now I do remember. I was a little kid, I was hiding in one of those racks, those clothing racks, the circular ones. I was playing hide go seek, and when I came out, my mama wasn't there. I started crying. This nice lady came over, and she got on the PA system. We got a lost child in such and such department. And then my mom came running. I could tell she wanted to hit me, but it's like too many witnesses. So she's like, okay, I'll get you later. You know, like she gave me the look. And then Dr. Loftus told those students, never happened. I made sure from your parents you were never lost in a department store. And I just said that you were. And because your parents said that you were, and you created that false memory. So you can see how memory is very, very tricky. People can sometimes implant stuff in our heads. Sometimes when you talk to siblings about the good old days when you're growing up, it's almost like they grew up in a different family, right? Maybe a different planet. So memory is very tricky. Getting good quality sleep, which I did not get last night because I was nervous and anticipating today, right? With the short amount of time I had to do some of these videos. Can interfere with your ability to retrieve information, right? More quality sleep, better retrieval. Your mood can also interfere with your ability to retrieve information. For example, if you're in a sad mood, and I give you a bunch of sad terms to remember, you're going to remember more of those. If you're in a happy mood, you're going to remember more of the happy words. So I hope that you're doing well. I hope you're able to take in what I'm sharing with you. One of the benefits of these tape things is you can rewind them and watch them again if you completely zonked out during my lecture, whereas the live version, if you zonked out, that's pretty much it, you know, unless you ask somebody for their notes or something. So our brains are well represented in the field of memory. If we go back to chapter 3, and you remember that case of Clive Waring? I mentioned to you that you could watch some of his videos. His amygdala was completely destroyed. Later, once they discovered he had an infection of encephalitis, they realized that his amygdala was pretty much gone from the scan, which meant that his ability to learn new memories is completely gone too. As a matter of fact, if you spend an hour telling Clive Waring the story of your life and left his room for 30 seconds or more and came back into the room, he would act like he's never met you ever, even though you just spent an hour with him a minute ago. Let's talk about this phenomenon called flashbulb memories, right? These are pretty dramatic events. Some are good, like the birth of yourself, and your parents remember that as a flashbulb memory because all the sensations, the feelings, the nervousness, the excitement comes back. Or some not so pleasant memories. And what happens when we retrieve these memories, they're fresh. They're like we're in the moment. We're experiencing them so strongly. So it's not like lunch yesterday, unless something dramatic happened. These are pretty dramatic memories. So a lot of you may not have a memory for 9/11. Older students generally do remember that. But many of you, and I've added this new one, many of you will have a new memory for this, the coronavirus, COVID-19. It's really hard for me to figure out how to do this backwards, right? You'll always remember these days and what was going on. And so years from now, with your children and grandchildren, you'll say, seems like just the other day when this happened and that happened. They're like, how long ago was that? 2020? And you're like, oh my God, that was like 30 years ago, right? But it seems like it was just so fresh, right? So take a look at these pennies here. Can you tell me, without looking at your coins, no cheating now, which of these coins is the correct version of our penny. Take a look at them carefully now. Shout out the answer. A through O, which is the correct answer in your opinion? Have you got your answer? What is it? Guess what? It's A. And why didn't a lot of us get A? Well, some of you are like, I just do Venmo. I don't do coins. Some of you have handled so many pennies in your life, you just don't pay attention. We generally don't pay attention to things that we don't think are that important, right? Some people actually throw their pennies on the ground. Guess what? I pick them up. 100 makes $1. It all adds up. As we get older, something to look forward to. Most people think that our memory is completely destroyed, but actually, in reality, recognition stays pretty stable, but recall starts to decrease, even though a lot of us think we remember our memories from the past pretty accurately. It's not very accurate at all, right? Unless you have written documentation or films or something. It's not always as accurate as we think it was. So, are you folks ready for the answers from Chapter 8, which will complete your study guide for the exam? The exam I'm going to release, I believe, on March 26th, and you will have approximately a week to complete it. And I'll send out an email reminding folks about the deadlines and so forth. My advice to you is when you get your exam, write down the answers immediately, type them up, make sure you feel comfortable, and then send them back immediately. What's going to happen is some of you are going to wait till the last minute, try to whip up some answers, even though you have a week to do it, and your answers will be incomplete, or it won't go through. You'll send it to the wrong email address, and I won't even send you any confirmation. And if you notice, as you're sending me, hopefully Chapter 6, Chapter 7, Chapter 8 so far, I generally send you an email back saying stamped, and I put the number next to it. With the exception of 6, I just put stamped and exclamation point. But the rest I put the number next to it. So you get confirmation that yes, I did receive your chapter notes. Yes, I did receive your relate papers, your extra credit papers, etc., etc. So you know. Okay, here's a review. From Chapter 8, I want you to describe the Spidey memory exercise we did in class, right? Well, we didn't really do it in class, but we did it on this video. Those are the 5 questions I asked you. So I want you to describe them in detail and then relate a concept from Chapter 8 that you think fits into this exercise. I think an easy one that you could relate, there are others, would be short-term memory. I want you to define that term and then relate it. And again, there are other terms that you could use. Number 9, I want you to describe Elizabeth Loftus's false memory syndrome research in detail. Tell me everything you know about this woman. And finally, the last question is describe what flashbulb memory is. And I want you to give some examples that you're familiar with, or maybe from your own life of flashbulb memories. And again, they could be good things. They don't always have to be bad things. All right? As usual, be safe. Send me questions. I've never gotten so many emails in my entire life. I'm more concerned with those folks who haven't done any emails or have sent me no homework yet. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they're stuck on a cruise ship and they have no access to internet, or they just are behind, or just taking it easy. I'm not sure. But I hope that you all stick with the class. I hope that we can finish strong. I hope that we come back together and see each other soon. All right, so be looking for the exam. It's going to come out in a couple days. And send that again to me as soon as possible. And also, well, certainly within the deadline. And also, I'll be trying to produce Chapter 9 if I can get to it today. So long. Bye.